The world of cars is changing rapidly, and China is leading this change. Let's talk about how Chinese electric cars are making a big splash in Mexico and what this means for all of us. Imagine a quiet car that doesn't emit smoke and costs less. Sounds good, right? That's exactly what China is doing, and Mexico is loving it. But not everyone is happy about this, especially the United States. For a long time, the US was the king of cars. But now, China is taking the crown, especially with electric cars. And Mexico? Well, Mexico is caught in the middle of this fight, like a battlefield to see who will sell more cars. Hey, before we continue, if you're enjoying the content, why not subscribe to the channel? It's quick, easy, and helps a lot. Now, let's get back to the electric car story. China isn't messing around. They're making electric cars like there's no tomorrow. And these aren't junkers, no sir. They're good-looking, and best of all, cheaper than the others. In Mexico, people are buying these cars like hotcakes. But why Mexico? Well, it's like choosing the path of least resistance. Mexico has simpler rules for selling cars than the US. And it's right next door to the United States, which is a huge market. It's like killing two birds with one stone. Chinese companies aren't just selling cars in Mexico. They're thinking about building factories there. It's like planting a seed in fertile soil. If it works out, they could grow a lot and sell to all of America. Now, the US isn't happy about this at all. They think China is using Mexico as a backdoor to enter the American market. It's like the neighbor jumping over the fence to sell stuff in your backyard. There's an agreement between the US, Mexico, and Canada called USMCA. It's a set of rules for trade between these countries. China is trying to use these rules to its advantage, like a clever player who knows all the tricks of the game. US car companies are worried. It's like a new team showed up and started winning all the games. They have to lose market share that was always theirs. And it's not just a business fight. It's a political fight too. The US and China aren't getting along lately, and this affects everything, including cars. It's like a chess game where every move counts. Mexico is caught in the middle of all this, like a referee in a boxing match. On one side, there's the US, an old friend. On the other, China, offering new business. It's a tricky position. But what does this mean for us, who just want a good cheap car? Well, it could be good news. More options usually mean better prices and more innovation. It's like having more ice cream flavors to choose from. The arrival of Chinese electric cars in Mexico is another change in the car market. It's a sign of how the world is changing. China is showing that it can be a leader in technology, not just in making cheap stuff. For Mexicans, this could mean access to better and cheaper cars. For Americans, it could be a wake-up call to step up their game. And for the rest of the world? It's a reminder that things are always changing. The future of cars seems to be electric, and China is ahead in this race. But the race isn't over yet. The US, Europe, and Japan are also running, and who knows what might happen. One thing is certain, the world of cars will never be the same. It's like we're seeing the beginning of a new era. Who would have thought we'd one day see Chinese cars driving through the streets of Mexico, competing on equal footing with famous brands? This story of Chinese electric cars in Mexico is more than just business news. It's a picture of the world changing before our eyes. It's about technology, politics, economy, and in the end, about how we move and live. What do you think about all this? Would you buy a Chinese electric car? Do you think they'll dominate the market? Or will other brands be able to compete? Leave your comment and let's talk about it. Remember, the future is coming fast, and it looks electric and maybe a little Chinese. Keep your eyes peeled, because the next chapter of this story promises to be exciting.